All right, I am recording it, by the way. We're looking at this proof from yesterday's notes. Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff up here. The first statement I'm going to put down is the given that it gave me. DE is congruent to EF. EF is congruent to GF. And that's given. Okay? The rest of the given, I'm going to wait for when it's relevant. What I do want to say from this is we've got DE to EF, EF to GF. So what do I know about this? DE is congruent to GF. Good. And we call that what? Who remembers? Transitive. Very nice. And if you don't remember, that's okay. You're allowed to use your postulates, theorems, properties, definition sheet. Make sure you have transitive symmetric, substitution, reflexive, all on there. Okay. Now that I've got that, I'm going to use the property we talked about yesterday, where I'm going to take away the congruent sign and make it equal. Who remembers what that's called? Definition of congruency. Okay, now that I have all that stuff, do you guys see the other stuff that's given in this picture? We're going to write that down next. If you had written it under number 1, it would not be marked wrong. It would still be okay. But we're going to put down that DE equals 3x minus 5, and that GF equals 7x minus 21. And that is another part of the given. If you had put it at the top, you still would have been okay. I know, I'm always in the way, aren't I, guys? Yeah. Just pretty much, yeah. Okay. All right, now that we have this, what's something, I heard it. Substitution. I'm going to say, that's very good, that 3x minus 5 equals 7x minus 21, substitution. What can I do now? But we can only say combine like terms if it's on the same side of the equal sign. If we're moving across the equal sign, Sam?
So we're subtracting.
We are subtracting. We're going to subtract 3x for both sides. Then we're going to do what? Add 21 to both sides. What's next, guys? Division. And what is my final step that I probably want to do? Yep, symmetric. How do we feel? So far, so good? All right, let's take a break for a second and go over the homework. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at this proof right here. So you're given that angle 6 is congruent to angle 7. And what are we trying to prove?
Angle 5 is congruent to angle 8.
Beautiful. So what is the first thing we want to write down?
Our given.
Our given, angle 6, remember this is recording, so let's be quiet. I keep writing G's instead of 6's. Okay, angle 6 is congruent to angle 7, given. Okay, let's look at our proof plan that we have over here. First show that 5 is congruent to 6, and 7 is congruent to 8, and then use transitive to show that 5 and 8 are congruent. Okay, so let's look at this. We know 6 and 7 are already congruent. It was given to us. It wants us to prove 5 and 6 are congruent, and it wants us to prove that 7 and 8 are congruent. How am I going to prove that 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 are congruent to each other? I heard somebody else tell me this earlier. They're what kind of angles? Vertical angles. You guys are so smart. Angle 5 is congruent to angle 6, and that is vertical angles. And then we're going to say it again, but with 7 and 8. I will move in a second. You have to wait. It's okay to be patient. It's all right.
What's number 2?
Vertical angles. Angle, oh, that looks crazy. Okay. It's angle 5 is congruent to angle 6. Okay, so we've got 6 is congruent to 7. 5 is congruent to 6. 7 is congruent to 8. So we know 5 is congruent to what? If we use just these top two, what is 5 congruent to? 7 by what? We've got 5 to, yes. Okay, we've got another one of these. We've got 6 is congruent to 7. Please turn that off. 7 is congruent to 8. So we know what? I'm sorry, I'm teaching and this is being recorded, so you need to be quiet now. Unless you have an answer. 6 is congruent to 7. 7 is congruent to 8, so? Where did we get 5? 6 is congruent to 7. 7 is congruent to 8, so?
6 is
Okay. And we got one more. 5 is congruent to? 7 is congruent to 8. 5 is congruent to 7, so 5 is congruent to? Did I put an extra one in there that I didn't need?
Yeah. The 6 you didn't need.
I didn't really need this number 5 right in here. It was just more extra. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you your quiz review packet. That is your homework for tonight. We'll go over it before the quiz tomorrow. Any questions?
Yes.